everyone, it's Mary. Today I will talk about the books that I read in the month of October. I feel like I'm always sort of almost late with wrap-ups, but I don't want to say it too loudly. I'm happy with how my channel is going in terms of rhythm, because I feel like I'm trying to upload a video a week and it's working. I feel like I'm managing to do that, so I just wanted to share that I'm very happy about this. Of course, as soon as I say this, something's gonna happen that will drag my filming even more. I hope not though. So let's get out of the way first the mangas, because I feel like I have been talking like every video that I posted lately has this manga in it, which is Kimi wa Petto / Tramps Like Us / You're My Pet, and I read volumes 7 and 8. These are the Italian editions, but I'm going to pop the English ones. I always forget to say the name of the author, Yayoi Ogawa. And as I said, it's a pretty old manga because it's from the early 2000s, and it has its problems with some jokes that are disrespectful, some stuff that it's not dealt with in the right way, some sexist remarks, just not cool things that wouldn't, it wouldn't be cool. They weren't cool back then, but still in 2020 it's even worse in a way. But the reason why I'm reading it's because I enjoy the storyline, and I watched the TV show that was actually adapted from this manga. There were 2 TV shows, and what I'm referring to is the newest one, which I absolutely loved and still stand by it. And I just wanted to consume the story in every shape and form, so I got to the manga. And it's just a story of this young woman. She's 28 and she has a brilliant career, but she gets demoted at work for standing up to her boss who was harassing her. And she also gets dumped by her boyfriend, whom she thought she was going to marry. So she's not having a great week in general. She comes home and she finds besides her door of her apartment, she finds a young boy. He's 20 and he's bruised and just not in a good shape, but he is in a cardboard box. She picks him up and takes him home, helps him, tends to him, feeds him, and then she lets him stay the night. Nothing sexual happens, but he stays there, and then she asks him to leave the next day, and he tells her that he doesn't have a place to go, and he asks her to stay. She, half jokingly, half serious, she says to him that he can stay if he stays as her pet, and he agrees. So it could be wrong in a lot of ways, even their sort of relationship and how it develops, but it's very subtle. But I think I wouldn't even think a trope like that would be of any interest to me, but I loved it, especially I would say the TV show, which I will redirect you to, because the manga, that's what I think. The manga is okay, but I wouldn't necessarily think it's worth checking out now. That was it for the manga. Then on to a reread, which was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is my 4th reread, for the fourth year in a row. I just happened to reread, like the first time I read it was 4 years ago, and then next year, and the same sort of period, which was August, I decided to pick it back up, and it just worked that so well that I decided to make it a thing and just pick it up every August, because it's such a summer read, and it's also a comfort read, because it's very quick. It's just perfectly paced. Although this time I dragged this, as you can see, for 2 months. I picked it up thinking, okay, I will just devour this in 3 days as usual and then move on. But then things happened, and I finished this in 2 months. But still, I think it's You know, it's, of course I enjoyed it as usual. It's just that I didn't have the space and the time to be reading it. So that's what happened. But I still feel like this is one of my favorite books of all time, probably. It's just so good. I feel like it's constructed in such a brilliant way. It doesn't have like an extra paragraph, an extra word. It has like the right length as well, the right stress on the plot and the characters. I just love how it develops. Like, it's like some sort of a song to me, this book. And I also enjoy the movie, which I don't think it's very popular as an opinion, because I heard a lot of people that enjoy the book do not like the movie. Like, I'm talking about the latest movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, which I think it's such a brilliant movie anyway. But yeah, this one. Then I have been listening to an audiobook, which was The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. And I heard this book talked a lot about on BookTube, and especially from people that I trust and that don't necessarily read YA, because I usually don't read YA, and this is classified as that. It is a YA novel written in verse, and again, this was my first time reading something like that. And I really enjoyed the voice as well of the author that narrates the book himself. And just, it was a good experience. It was interesting, and I think it makes a lot of important points, and especially for younger readers. I did not even say what this book was about, but it's a coming-of-age story of a boy growing up, accepting himself, you know, in terms of identity and just sexual preference, and also he decides he wants to become a drag queen, and so it has talks of gender as well. I just think the topics were dealt with in a very, very good way, both for, you know, people that maybe are not familiar with the topic, especially maybe younger readers, but also for who is familiar with it. I think it works very well for, you know, both kinds of people. And my only, I would say, not my only problem, but my issue with the book, which is not an issue with the book, it's an issue with myself, because I apparently cannot read or cannot connect my brain properly. But I was sure this was a memoir. Don't ask me why, because I heard and read reviews about this book, and it's not a memoir. Okay, so I firmly believed it was until halfway through, where I was like, wait a minute, I don't think this is a memoir actually, and it's not. And you would say that probably the fact that the protagonist's name is Michael and the author of the book is called Dean should, you know, make something click, but it didn't. I was like completely fine with this. And it's not that I forgot the name of the author. I don't know what happened, but I watched several interviews with the author as well, and he admits that there is a lot of him in Michael's character, and I'm not that keen on those things. I'm not that keen on memoirs that are not really memoirs, or novels that are not really novels, because they got a bit of both. I just don't sit well with this sort of format, I would say. But other than that, it was a great book, and I would definitely recommend this book to you. Next I will talk about a small little book. I'm not going in any particular order, as you might have noticed, but especially because this is the latest book that I read, well, the last book that I read in October, but still, I gave it 4 stars as well. And it's a book club book that we've been reading with the Voxer book club created by Yamini over at Shakespeare and Spice. And I'm gonna leave a link to her channel down below. She's just back on YouTube after a break. And yeah, we were reading for October I'm Afraid of Men by Vivek Shraya. And I really enjoyed this book, and I didn't think I was enjoying it that much when I was halfway through, and it's very short. So I was like, oh, I guess this is not really working for me. I mean, it's good, but I don't know. And then in the end, I don't know. It wrapped up just in a way in which I thought it was very poignant and very useful and such an important conversation to have. Vivek, she is a trans artist. She writes poetry but also makes music, and you can tell that she writes poetry from the way in which this book is written. I would say this one is sort of a memoir, although I'm not really sure how to classify this because it's so short that it doesn't really focus on a specific moment or time, or I don't know. I've just felt what this book lacked for me was a little bit more insight on her life. I just wanted to know a little bit more, but apart from that, I really enjoyed it and the conversation that it had. I thought I knew. Maybe it's pretentious to say, but I thought I was in the conversation, you know. But still, I think you can always learn, and it's important to keep reading and keep listening to own voices. I love the part in which she talked about women weight. And so I'm also afraid of women. I'm afraid of women who've either emboldened or defended the men who have harmed me or have watched in silence. I'm afraid of women who adopt masculine traits and then feel compelled to dominate or silence me at dinner parties. I'm afraid of women who see me as a predator and whose comfort I consequently put before my own by using male locker rooms. I'm afraid of women who have internalized their experiences of misogyny so deeply that they make me their punching bag. I'm afraid of the women who, like men, reject my pronouns and refuse to see my femininity, or who comment on or criticize my appearance, down to my chipped nail polish, to reiterate that I am not one of them. I'm afraid of women who, when I share my experiences of being trans, try to console me by announcing, "Welcome to being a woman," refusing to recognize the ways in which our experiences fundamentally differ. But I'm especially afraid of women because my history has taught me that I can't fully rely upon other women for sisterhood or allyship or protection from men. I just thought this was brilliant, and I really recommend you pick this one up. Last, I wanted to say the book that I enjoyed the most this month, and it was a 5-star read. I feel like I'm so scarce of 5-star reads this year. It doesn't make me happy at all. I don't feel like I've given enough books 5 stars, which means that I probably should pick up better the books that I want to read. But it was a Sarah Waters, and it was Fingersmith. I previously read a Sarah Waters, I think 2 years ago. It was The Little Stranger, and that was the only one I've ever read. And I really enjoyed her writing style, especially the story. That one was way slower, but it wasn't by any means boring. This one though, it's a big one, but it flows so quickly, and I actually could not stop reading. It was a compulsive read, which sometimes I feel so welcomed. I wouldn't say that I want all my books to be as compulsive as this one, but when it happens, it's just such a pleasant surprise. And I feel like she is especially good in creating an atmosphere and just picturing. I can picture everything that she describes, which is rare for me to happen. Like the places that she describes, I just can vividly, I can almost like imagine myself in them. And maybe it sounds like obvious, but it's not for me. I always have a hard time grasping the environment, the setting of the scenes in books in general. So she's so good. And especially I feel like this book has a lot of plot, but also a lot of character insight, and it's just the perfect balance, I would say. This is set in the 1800s in London, and again, this is very sort of dark and gloomy. It's not spooky as maybe The Little Stranger is, but I feel like it's perfect for this time of the year because it does, like, it's sinister, I would say, so it works. And as I was saying, it's set in the 1800s in London, and there is the protagonist of the book is Sue Trinder, and she's an orphan. Her mother was a murderess, and she basically grows up in this house of thieves, and there is this mother figure who's called Mrs. Suxby, and she raises her basically as her own daughter, but of course they're all like thieves, so they learn how to steal, to be you know, to do all sort of mischiefs, even at a young age, and she's 16 or 17 in this book. One day a family friend, I would say, comes at the door. He's referred to as Gentleman, and he has a plan in mind to steal a fortune. Basically, he wants to marry this young girl that will basically, by marrying, she will inherit a lot of money, because she's an orphan living as well. She's an orphan as well, living with her uncle in this mansion, and he asks for Sue's help to woo her. Basically, he asks her to become her maid and just to become, you know, her friend basically, and to convince her to marry him. And then he plans to dump her in a, like a mental hospital, and just leave with the money basically. So Sue agrees on this plan, and she goes there, and that's how everything starts. And I absolutely love this one. I wish I had more Sarah Waters to read on my shelves, and I need to correct that, because, you know, finishing this one just instantly made me want to pick up more by her. Such a great book, such a great book. That's it for my reading month. I also wanted to mention that I started listening to, like, sometimes I listen to podcasts, you know, bookish podcasts, and I didn't know about this podcast, which is Literary Disco, and I discovered this from Stephanie, and I'm gonna leave to her a link to her channel down below. I did not know that Ryder Strong had a podcast, and he has this podcast since 2012, so it's been a while. Can't believe I didn't know. I love Ryder Strong. I was so obsessed with him in Boy Meets World, and the fact that he has a podcast, like a literary podcast, is just I love it, especially because it's so in tune like with his character in Boy Meets World. But anyway, he and a couple of other people have this podcast, and it's very interesting, and I've basically been listening to the old like episodes, and yeah, I just recommend that one as well. And I guess I wanted to mention it because I've been listening to that as well this month. So yeah, that's it, and I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!